Hello beautiful people and welcome to a new tutorial. This is Everything April YouTube channel and you're highly welcome. So today's tutorial is on how to make a Canadian smoked sleeve. So this helps add fullness to a sleeve and add style to your blouse or your dress depending on what you're attaching it to. And it is very easy to make and beginner friendly. Now, if this is your first time checking out my video, you're highly welcome. If you're a returning viewer, you're also welcome. If you're yet to subscribe to my channel, please click on the subscribe button to subscribe. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. You can also share this video with your friends. And also remember to click on the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. So for this sleeve, I'm using a plain satin fabric and I have my fabric on fold. So the length of the fabric I have is 22 and on fold I have a width of 25. That means when I open it up, the width is 50 inches and I've drawn out squares and the measurement for this square is 2 by 2, 2 inches by 2 inches. So you can decide to do smaller than this or bigger than this. You can decide to do 1.5 by 1.5 or 1 inch by 1 inch or 3 inch by 3 inches, so depending on what you want to achieve. So I've made this whole square all through the fabric I have. Take note that this measurement is just for one sleeve and that the length I have on this fabric is 2 times the actual length of my sleeve, because after smocking the length is going to be reduced. So now the next thing I'm going to do now will be drawing out or showing you where I'll be tacking, where I'll be smocking. So on the first square, on the first column, I'm drawing a line from one point to the opposite point. As you can see, I skipped one and I drew on the other one. I kept doing, I would skip one and I would draw a line, a straight line, a slanted line on the other. So that's how I will be tacking or smocking um, the sleeve. So I'm repeating from one end of the square, I'm drawing down to the other end. I would skip one whole square and do it for the other square. I'll skip one and do it just as you can see me demonstrating. Once I draw a line across on one, I'm skipping another one and I'll do that. Then I'm going to skip a whole column and then I'll go to the third column and repeat the same thing I did for the first column. I would draw a line, then I'll skip one square, I'll draw a line and skip the other um, square, just like that. So when I finish with the third column, I'm going to skip the entire fourth column and then do the same thing on the fifth column, and it continues that way till I get to the end of the fabric. So what I'm going to do now will be to thread a needle and then I'll start tacking from one end of the slanted line to the other end. That's where I'll be tacking. So I would first knot the thread before I start tacking. I'll pick one point of that slanted line and then pick the other point, just as I'm demonstrating. Then I would tack severally. I would tack like 3 or 4 times to secure it in place and make sure it doesn't come off easily. So this I'm doing with a needle and thread. You can also do with a sewing machine. All you have to do is hold one end of the slanted line to the other end in each box, in each square you have, and then tack them with a sewing machine, just the way I'm doing with a hand needle and thread. That's the same thing you have to do if you're using a sewing machine. So I'll go ahead and tack properly. Then after making sure I've secured it properly, I'll cut off my thread and then I'm going to skip the box that we didn't draw a I didn't draw a slanted line on, and then I'll go to the next box. I'll go to the third square on a column. So I'll cut this out, I'll skip the other one closest to the one I've tagged, and then I'll go to the other one and pick it up the same way. See, picking the two ends, and then I would knot severally, cut, and I would continue that the same process over and over for all the squares that have the slanted line. That's what I'll do to the end. So that's the second one. I'll go ahead and do the third one. So I'm doing this to show you that it is actually easy to do, so that you see exactly what I'm doing. That's why I'm repeating. This is the third one I'm repeating, but that's exactly what you have to keep doing for each square or each box that you've already drawn a slanted line. So about this using hand needle and thread, it takes more time than when you're using a sewing machine. So you can decide to use your sewing machine. It will come out the same, but the one with hand needle and thread seems to look better than the one with the sewing machine. But I'm just going to do a few with my hands, then I'll go over to the sewing machine and finish it up. So far this is what I've done with my hand needle and thread. This is what I have. So I'll then go over to my sewing machine and continue from where I stopped. So I'll keep tacking the same way I explained. The places I drew the slanted line, I'll tack to the end, and then I'll show you what I have. So this is it, guys. I've smoked everything. I've gone to the sewing machine and I've done everything just the way I explained. This is the back part, this is the wrong part, the part that I drew the line, and this other side is the front part, the right side of the fabric. So I'm going to cut out my sleeve on my lining. So I have my lining folded into four. I'm cutting the front and the back together. So the length of my sleeve is 11 inches, the length I have. So I'm taking a calf's height of 4 inches, and half of my round armhole is 9 inches. Half of my round armhole is 9 inches, and to that I'll be adding extra 1 inch because I want to pleat, and then I'll be adding another 1 inch for sewing allowance. That means I added extra 2 inches, 1 inch for pleating and 1 inch for sewing. And then the round sleeve opening I'm working with, is half of it is 6 inches, but I'll be adding extra 2 inches because I'll also be pleating the lower part. So I would need that 1 inch so that it will not be too tight, and then 1 inch for sewing allowance. So I'm making my sleeve head curve, and I've drawn out my sleeve. I'm going to be cutting the two sleeves. Like I said, for the two sleeves I'm cutting the lining for the two sleeves together. So I'll just go ahead and cut out the lining. So the lining is just basic sleeve, a basic short sleeve. That's what I'm cutting out, with the 1 inch extra I added for ease or for pleating. So that is what I have. I've cut out my sleeves. Now I'm going to cut out what I need on this smoked material. So I have it like this because I didn't draw out the sleeve before I started smocking. So I'm arranging it. I'm going to put it on fold, but so that we can see what I'm doing, I'm going to use a piece of paper, a brown paper, to draw out what I want. So I have a length of 13.5. That's the total length I have, 13.5. So I'm going to use a brown paper because I noticed that I tried cutting this out directly, but it will not be visible since this is for beginners. So I'm going to use a brown paper to explain what I have. Assuming my brown paper is on fold, so I have a length. I'm going to cut out that exact same length I have on the fabric. I'm cutting it out. I'm reducing the length to 13.5 because I want to use the whole length I have. So I have 13.5. So I'm going to check if I have the length I need. So I would also take the width. I'll check the width I have on fold. I'm going to check what I have on the smoked material. So I'm checking also on fold what I have. I'm going to check what I have on fold, and I have about 14 inches. So I want to use the whole of that 14 inches. So I would be measuring 14 inches on my brown paper. So I'll also measure that down, the 14 inches, I'll measure that down. Okay, so from that 14 inches, I'll be coming down by 2 inches, and I'm making a curve for the sleeve head, and then I'm connecting down to the 14 inches down. So I'll just go ahead and cut this out, and then I would place it on my smoked material. My smoked material has to be on fold. So I'll place it on my smoked material and then cut this exact same shape I have on the paper. That's what I have to do. So guys, if you're yet to subscribe to this channel, please take out some time to click on the subscribe button, and also remember to turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. So of course my sleeves. So this is what I have, the exact same shape I have on the paper, and this is the lining. So what I will do now will be to open up my fabric. First I'm going to notch the center part of my the lining and the center part of the smoked sleeve, the lower part of them. So I'm going to turn them right sides facing each other. So I will open the right side of the smoked material, the right side of the lining piece. So I'm going to match the notched parts, the center parts on both sides. So I'm matching them. Then from the sides, I'm going to start pleating. Remember that the smoked material is way bigger than what I have on the lining piece. So I'm going to pleat them equally. That's why I first pinned the center part so that it will be evenly distributed. So I'm pinning from one side to that center point. So when I get to the center point, I will then start from the other end and pin also to the center point. So what I'm doing now is trying to join them by the sleeve opening parts. So I did this right sides facing each other. So that is how I pinned. So after this, I'm going to sew them together using half-inch seam allowance. I would sew on the part I've pinned using half-inch seam allowance. So after doing that, I'm going to open up my fabric. This is the right side. I'm going to fold them like I'm demonstrating. Right sides are closed up, so I'm going to sew the sides using 1 inch seam allowance. That's what I left for side seam allowance. So I've done all that, I've sewn, and I'm going to turn to the right side so you see what I have. So you can see everything is now in. So what I will do next will be to match the side seam of the main material and the side seam of the lining piece. You can see me matching them, and I have extra also on the main material. So I'm going to pleat that all around the lining piece. So I've done that, and I've held them with my needle. So I'll go to the machine and sew them together so that they will just be one. So I've done that, so you can see what I have. I've sewn them together. So when you turn to the wrong side, you see how neat it looks because of the way it's finished. So it's looking neat inside and outside. So the next thing now, I'm just done with the sleeve. So this is it basically on how you make the sleeve. So all I have to do is now to attach it to the dress I've made the sleeve for. As you can see, I've already attached one sleeve, and you see how beautiful it looks. So I'll just attach the other sleeve. So that is it, guys, on how you can make a Canadian smoked sleeve. Thank you for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching it, and please, if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, just click on the subscribe button now, and also turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Until my next video, bye.